Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Premanande Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Can we go up a little bit, please? Can we go up a little bit? Go up a little bit on the key. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Baba, Jaya Giridharadhari, Jaya Giridharadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Giridharadhari, Jaya Giridharadhari.
Vrajagana Ranjana Jaya Vrajagana Yashodanandana Jaya Vrajagana Ranjana Jaya Vrajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari
Shri Gonitai ki jai, Shri Jagannath Subhadra ki, Shri Shiva Sham Sundar ki jai, Shri Shiva Gopinath Ji ki jai, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Garanga, Shri Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Kinani. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvase Shishanivari Pashtachate Shritani. Hare Krishna. In Sydney? In Sydney now? Living near here? Living nearby?
No, not Sydney.
Not Sydney. Hare Krishna. What, should we read from something or what? What should we do? Hmm?
Would you talk about transformation? How we can
The Transformers. I see the advertisements sometimes, is it? Transformers. Is that about transformation? Do they transform people?
ourselves.
What do they turn you into? Do they? Huh? The Transformers, they turn you into good people? Wasn't there some kind of movie or something? Was it? I don't know what it's about, I saw the advert. What do they transform you into?
It's a Hollywood ride too.
Huh?
It's a Hollywood ride to Transformers. It's a 3D ride in Hollywood studios.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a very, very dangerous.
Dangerous ride. So be careful. It's a dangerous question. You might be transformed. You might lose your attachment to the material world. Very dangerous. Huh? Don't associate. Transformation takes place by? How does transformation take place?
Association.
Association. Yes. Primarily association. Association is just not just by, people we associate, but everything that we associate with can have its effect on our consciousness, basically. In the beginning, it's what we see. It's what we see. Transformation. Of course, desires, even without desire, it's always desire. The desire of someone else to see that we're transformed. Oh, that's the beginning. We don't go out on the street usually. Maybe some idea I need to change, but don't know how. You go on the street, somebody, you're not thinking I need to be transformed. My consciousness is transforming to pure consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Somebody thinks like that, let me see if I can transform this person's consciousness. And they try to create a situation which will help to awaken a desire within that person to change. Based on desire, we all basically transformation. We may not have the desire, but someone else desires that we transform or change. Ultimately it's Krishna. He wants us all because naturally we're all part and parcel, so when we lose a part and parcel of our body, we want to reconnect the body. We want to reconnect it to the body. We're all like, separated parts in one sense. We're not really, but we're behaving like that. We're trying to behave like that. But Krishna wants us to reconnect. So what causes that transformation? Combination, association, the key and desire. The desire. So desire is created. How do we develop desires in this world? How are desires developed?
By senses.
Pardon?
By senses.
By
seeing, by person.
Yeah, by contact. It's also a kind of an association too. We develop a desire, something Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita. By contemplating the objects of the senses, you come in contact with the objects of the senses, and perhaps by association you develop some interaction with those objects. You may associate with people who are drinking, you may become a drunkard. You didn't initially have that in mind, but by that association then you're exposed to drinking, and then after some time you become desiring. It develops by association and by contemplating the objects and then engaging in the objects of sense gratification. Then various desires are developed in this material world, one after the next, by that contact or association. So the same thing in Krishna conscious movement. The idea, but that's developed on the mind. The first picture is on the mental plane and it's external, but then you get the picture on the mental plane. At first it may not be acceptable. You know, your intelligence is perhaps rejecting it or analysing it. But the more one associates, generally speaking, the more coloured the mind becomes. That picture starts to get... They have an advertising system, like that's what they call it. Subliminal. You don't even see it, it's going on behind the scenes. And they're just advertising a product. It's kind of like subtle, very subtle. Gradually the picture starts to build up in your mind. You start to think about it, you develop attachment or interest in that subject matter by little bits at a time. And so gradually we develop this. The idea in Krishna consciousness is the same thing. We gradually try to colour our minds more and more, or people's minds more and more with the subject concerning Krishna. So the mind, the picture which we see, the soul is perceiving through the consciousness, basically, the material world, and then through the senses, the sense objects, all reflected on the mind. So what's reflected on the mind is what we're generally watching. So somehow or another, if that picture of Krishna comes up more and more on the mind, and gradually the consciousness will also become purified. They're interrelated. And it's like we're watching all the time. If you're seeing pictures of Krishna and all you see is pictures of Krishna, then that's what the mind will, basically speaking, that's what you'll be seeing. You become conscious of that more and more. When you dream, even your dreams will be based upon what we see, as it goes back many lifetimes, no doubt. We have so many unseen desires, aprabdhas, which we may not even be aware of, but we can't necessarily, let's say, just deny that they're going to come or maybe there. But at least we can do one thing, we can try to see that the new pictures that come into our, let's say, like a computer, so the new pictures that come in, they're more Krishna conscious, more. The transformation is really by association on the mental plane, external plane. When the external plane comes onto the mental plane, and then our consciousness gradually becomes pure, means our consciousness gradually turns towards Krishna as a transformer. Here we have Satchinandam Prabhu here. What does an electrical transformer do?
It reduces the high voltage to low voltage, like if you're generating 132,000 volts, reduce down to 11,000 volts and then to 415 volts.
So that you can use it, huh? It's the same energy which is transformed into a usable voltage. So everything's spiritual energy. The material energy is also actually spiritual. Just that we're forgetting. So that association, basically, at the moment we're seeing the material energy as being objects of our sense enjoyment. So by the right association we learn to see the material, and what we call material energy, as being an object for Krishna's enjoyment. So the same energy, but just transformed from an object of my enjoyment to an object of Krishna's enjoyment. And that means we have to associate with somebody who's seeing it like that and is guiding us to do it. like that. Even if we haven't realized it, by doing it like that, gradually we'll start to realize it like that. We'll experience that. In modern society, there's not much training in that direction, so Krishna consciousness movement is maybe the only movement which is directly doing that. Others are doing it, no doubt, in one sense, to some degree, but to the full degree. That's why daily worship is, for instance, is also very important for those who are still on this bodily or material, sensual platform of life. It enables one to engage one's sensuality for the pleasure of Krishna, cooking lovely food for Krishna, dressing Krishna nicely, doing so many things for the deity, making a nice altar, nice flower vases, nice garlands, nice dresses, and cleaning a nice temple room for Krishna. Everything is practical engagement of our sensual propensities for the pleasure of Krishna. And if we have no deities, that opportunity doesn't arise, but the tendency to engage in sensual activities is still there. Not going to be purified just by knowledge alone. There has to be practical involvement and practical engagement. That's when the transformation takes place more deeply, when we actually start to act according to the direction of those who are, Krishna conscious. Give us direction. If we follow the direction, and gradually more and more and more and more, it becomes accustomed, it becomes habitual almost, to do it for Krishna. To do it for Krishna. Thus we're exposed all the time to the other opposite pole, past, let's say past association is still there, and the subtle aparubhas keep coming up, attractions, attachments, emotions, and when something in the nearby stage, when something kind of doesn't go quite right, so to speak, from our perspective, in our devotional interactions, and sometimes we become a little disturbed, doubtful, whatever it may be, and we feel like, oh, I can't do this or something. That may happen in the neophyte stages. Neophyte stages, and every stage up to a pure devotional service, basically that risk is there. Some distraction, external or internal, may come along. It's a challenge. You can take it as an incentive to take more shelter of Krishna when danger is there, or when the mind, in pictures of sort of the opposite idea come up, and more chance to take shelter, more in spirit, more need, let's say, to take shelter of Krishna rather than taking shelter of, material objects or material thoughts, etc. So this transformation usually takes a little while. It's not quite so straightforward, maybe as an electrical transformer, which may do it like that. It can be like that by a moment's association with a pure devotee. And just that lava matra. By a moment all perfection can be achieved. But, there's association and there's, partial association. Even electrics, if the connection is not complete, you may not get a complete effect. If there's rust or something there, it may not give the full effect. But similarly in our association, we may have mixed motives and so many things come in. We're not focusing, we're not attentive. And so it's like when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, this is another key action of association in transformation, is to receive from the pure source the sound vibration, the Maha Mantra, and then by following the process, your Prabhupada said this is how one heart changes. When we follow the process, we've got the medicine, but we have to follow the remedy, the prescription, and then transformation can take place if we allow it to. We may object, we may try to avoid it, and to some extent it may be held back for some time like that, but ultimately it'll still work. If we don't, we have to be, open, desire that our heart has to open, to allow the sound vibration to occupy our consciousness like that. Transcendental sound vibration. By hearing the sound vibration, that changes imperceptibly, you could say. It's not like someone preaching to us or some circumstance which like forces some kind of sudden jerk of realization. It's just as the sun rises in the morning, it's not like we do anything, but you just have to be in the sun and automatically you start to get the effect of the sun. Just have to stay in the association with the holy name constantly. As much as we can, constantly is recommended. Of course, we all know that due to, let's say, whatever reasons, maybe many reasons, our conditioning, our circumstances, offences, it may be many reasons, we may not do that. Something else is going on. We're doing something else and we don't chant. Common thing. But those who are actually, those who are Mahatmas, those great souls, Satatam Kirtiyantam Mamyatantas Chadritapatam, always chanting my glories, constantly engaged in worshipping me like this, was fully absorbed like that. Such persons will not fall down. This is a secret. Mantra Yoga Vicharana Bhakti Yogena Sevati. One who is engaged in full devotional service. Full devotional service. He does not fall down in any circumstance. Attains to the level of Brahman, spiritual platform. So that's the liberated stage. Even if we're not liberated, it's considered you are already ihayasya verdasya. But even though we're not liberated, one is considered on the liberated platform if we're fully engaged in following the direction of a liberated soul. We work towards it. And with association again, you may only associate with a devotee once a week, once a day, once whenever, or other devotees. But we make association where we are, environmental association, utilizing or seeing things in relationship with Krishna. It's not like that's Maya and that's Krishna. Transformation is to see everything, like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains how to see everything in relationship to him, no matter what it is in this world. Everything is his energy, everything. Nothing is truly separated from Krishna. Everything is actually connected to Krishna. As all forms of light and heat are ultimately connected to the sun, they may be transformed, they may be whatever it is they do, with the energy of the sun. But it's all the sun's energy. Everything is Krishna's energy. And you just have to see it like that. And practice that. Engaging everything in the best way, in relationship with Krishna. Then our mind will gradually become also controlled. The mind, wild mind, means it's always going from one object to the next. But it's actually, the mind is wild in the sense, not wild by nature, it's just full of material desires by nature. The intelligence, when the intelligence gets out of control, intelligence out of control, completely impassioned, when intelligence's tendency to be impassioned, and it allows the mind, even though the mind is in a sense a neutral, like kind of reservoir of pictures of objects which you've seen or heard or tasted over countless births. And the intelligence, when it's very passionate, just flies from one to the next, trying to enjoy or satisfy these various desires, etc. So we have to try to bring that intelligence, just like Krishna brought Arjuna's intelligence under control through knowledge, his instructions, guidance. But still he said, "No, I've told you everything, now you decide what to do." And then Arjuna said, "All my doubts are now removed, my illusions now removed. And by your mercy, and now I'm prepared to act according to your instructions, so favourable instruction, acting according to Krishna's desire, what he wants of us." Many things, and chanting Hare Krishna's universal activity for all, which is, even if we don't get so much association with physical association with devotees, you can chant Hare Krishna anywhere. And, it's the Divadharma, so it's a very merciful and very effective means of transformation is to chant the holy name of Krishna, and particularly in the association of devotees. Change of heart especially takes place in the association of devotees. Chanting and hearing about Krishna in the association of devotees is a powerful medicine. And many other factors involved. Prasada is also there, and so many things may be there, depending on what level, stage we're on. Different things may be, more relevant or more effective. But in general, somehow or another, coming in contact with devotional service, and keeping in contact with devotional service.
Sorry, just 3 cars are actually blocking the road, so I just asked the devotees to move.
Oh my goodness. 3 cars are blocking the road. BIJ 524. BIJ 524. Is that yours, Madam? Oh, Madam Mongal's car. I don't know how it's blocking.
No, it's just that the road is too narrow, so it's just taking half.
I see. And A07 9NL. At least we have some honest persons here. Sometimes they're too embarrassed to do it. They just kind of wait for a quiet moment and sneak out and nobody thinks it's them. Is that an S or a 5? BS?
S.
BS 06 AA. Whose is that one? Somebody back there? Okay, is that it? What do they do with it? Block the road down further or something?
Too much into the
I know, but where do they go now?
There's parking on the other side, like just a little bit of...
Okay, someone's there to show them where to park. Okay, good. Otherwise your car may be towed away. And sold, raising money for the new temple project. It's nearby here, the new temple land. It's not far from here. Just a few kilometers up the road. We've been there a few times. Good. They try in the material world, don't they? They try the same thing. They have the Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And then they have the drug rehabilitation centers and so many different things to try to transform people's behavior. It's on the material platform, but the principle's there by association, by proper behavior, and they generally adopt, at least the AA adopts, I don't have their, was it 8 point, 9 point, I don't know, steps they take, but the primary one is that by the grace of God everything is possible. Transformation is only possible by His mercy. Mercy. You've got to get mercy. This mercy may come causelessly. We may desire it, but it may also come causelessly. Or maybe both. It has no material cause in the real sense of the term, although we may, from our perspective, there may be a material cause. You're suffering like anything. You want relief from suffering. You go, God, please help me. I can't handle this anymore. People turn to God for that reason. It's material, but God's mercy is not a material cause. It has no material cause exactly. Just that you've called for Him. Or you want material returns, you want something and you're not getting out of something. Different reasons people may call to the Lord. But He's not obligated, He's not a machine. His mercy is causeless. Causeless means He generally bestows it when you get the blessing of a devotee. Get the blessing of a devotee. And Krishna is obligated, because He's controlled by His devotees. The devotees, like Prabhupada says in the... Let's read it. Can you bring me a songbook? I'm sure we've sung it before, I don't know if we can sing it tonight. And I kind of lost it the other day when we tried to sing. You have many songbooks? Do you have many, Keshava? Give me one to start with. And we can start reading at least. I have 4 in my bag, but I didn't bring my bag in. Is the car still okay? They haven't let the tires down or anything?
I tried, but...
Yeah, you got there in time. I thought we had a lot of songbooks here. Any more? This is a very old one. And this was bootleg. I thought it was. This is a Fijian bootleg. This was printed in Fiji. They bootlegged it for the BBT. Lumbasa. Raki. And there's Nasinu. Nasinu? What is that? I don't know. Lautoka. And this is a Fijian bootleg. It's a good print, I must give them credit. This is quite old now. And it's still holding strong. It was a good one. They did a good job. Better than the BBT one. And nice pictures too. It was a very good print, this one. I give them credit. This is Prabhupada. If you want transformation, I would suggest you also read these 2 poems of Srila Prabhupada and his books, of course, by reading Prabhupada's books. That's a major association which causes so much transformation. And I don't know the statistics, but from what I understand, the majority of persons who come to some kind of level of Krishna conscious practice, their contact or the thing which really changed them was the books, reading Prabhupada's books. You got any more or not? I thought you were a storehouse of songbooks here. These are all old ones. I thought you had a whole... Where's Papa? He doesn't have any? Where's your dad? He doesn't know where they are? I thought he was all... Wasn't it like that, Nityananda? Where's Nityananda? He's also not here. I thought... Well, I've got 4 in the bag, of course, in our car. But that's like a big dig deep into the bag. But I thought we always had lots of songbooks here. Anyway, I'll just read something to you. And you've heard it before, but it's always good. Pardon?
He's getting
Getting what?
books.
Who is?
Nityananda.
Is he? Okay. I've got some. Here we've got 3 so far. Won't get very far around if we don't see it. And prayers? Huh? No. Makini Bhagavat Dharma. It won't be in there, I don't think. That's not Prabhupada's songbook, is it? What is it called? Padavu, no, it's Vaishnava. Padavu. Anyway, look at that. I doubt it's there. More than Acharya's songs, I think. Oh no, where's this from? Never seen this before. A new songbook? Huh?
This also
Where's it from?
Vrindavan.
Oh. Never seen it before. Well, Prabhupada only sang. He didn't really compile any songs. Just 2 poems. I don't know if it's in here or not. I don't know by looking. No, I don't think it's in there. Because officially this is not a song, it's a poem. It's in this lovely book. I don't want to take it. If you do have a songbook, there's 2 more here. I don't know what page it's on, all the books. So this one's on page 30. 29, 30, 31. Makini Bhagavat Dharma. It's really in the beginning. If you have a mobile or something with it on, you can find it there also. Or some other laptop or something. Page 31 in this book. is the translation. Preaching Krishna consciousness in America. It's right before the beginning of the songs of Bhaktivinoda, the one right before it. My dear Lord Krishna, you are very kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? You're referring to America. Could be Australia, Sydney, anywhere. Probably consider it a terrible place. Because especially at that time there was no Krishna consciousness. There's no such thing as a temple or a devotee of Krishna in that place. Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. If we're too absorbed, Bhogeshwara Prasaktanam Vyapritiketasam, in material sense enjoyment, then the Vyavasayapika would hear. The determination of the devotional service to the Lord does not take place. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. This Prabhupada's mood, where you will say what you like, but you can say, well, he's talking out of humility for our benefit. But this was his mood. He wasn't like he's going in, I know I'm going to transform all these people. You know, here I am, I'm the transformer. You're all going to be transformed now I'm here. That wasn't Prabhupada's mood. I do not know how they're going to understand it. This is anyway, you could say this is the mission statement of ISKCON. We come up with so many plans and purposes and do this and do that. But without the basic, you can say, consciousness, the correct consciousness. The danger is it can transform into a material activity, and not a spiritual one. It's the consciousness which is the actual essence, not just the externals. It's the substance, not just the form. So the substance is the consciousness in which we act. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita emphasizes the consciousness in which we work. The work is also there, but primarily the ultimate conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is acting in consciousness of Krishna, not so much what you're doing, but the consciousness in which we're acting. So those who are absorbed in the material world, they've got they can't understand. We are in the same boat. We're absorbed, we can't understand either. We'll be shrouded with doubts. Our consciousness will be completely, say, absorbed in material things, then we'll be full of doubts. Our intelligence will be lost. They have no taste, you have no taste for the transcendental message of Godhead. It's just a foreign language. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but Great Prophet says, I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible. Only your mercy, because you're the most expert mystic. The Prophet is praying for the mercy of Krishna, that people may be able to understand this message. And if so, may I become, in this case, your Prophet, the instrument by which you may show your mercy. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service, O Lord? I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. Because it's his mission to do so, order of the spiritual master. If the spiritual master had told him to worship the deities, well, only Prabhupada would have done it. If the spiritual master had told him simply to manage the temple somewhere, he would have done it. But his spiritual master told him to preach this message in the English language all over the world. So that was his duty. So he's praying for the strength to do it, the mercy to do it. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. This is based on desire. The living entity doesn't come into this material world simply by the will of Krishna. Krishna is reciprocating with our will. But without His will we can't come into the material world, because it doesn't exist without His will. The ability to come in here doesn't exist without His will. We may have a desire, but let's say the facility to come into this world, to create this world, is the will of Krishna, to fulfill the desires of the conditioned souls, or the errant souls at that stage. And then to place them in this material world is also by the grace of Krishna. He does that. We don't sort of, walk off into the material world. We may want to, turn away from Krishna. But the only places is in the material world, because we have these desires to live independently of Krishna. And if one wants to get out of the material world, it's not within our power. You can't kind of jump out into the sky and fly towards the edge of the universe and bust your way through the huge coverings of the universe, and plunge through across the Viraja River and through the Brahmajyoti and everywhere else, and then crash gate through the gates of Vaikuntha, knocking the gatekeepers flying, and here I am. I'm back home again. It doesn't work like that. It's only when Krishna allows it. By His will we go, or let's say the forgetfulness, the coverings are removed, and all other coverings are removed, material coverings are removed, and the entry into the spiritual world is open by the will of Krishna. But if we don't have the will, He's not going to force His will on us. He's got His will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. And here's the key. I wish that you may deliver them. When the pure devotee wishes, Krishna's will has to follow suit. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. And here's another secret. The deliverance is when we understand the message of Godhead. It can be, but it's generally not a magic wand all of a sudden. Out of the blue, you wake up in the morning, there you are in Goloka Vrindavan. The night before you were in the pub. That transformation doesn't usually happen like that. It's possible. Nothing's impossible. But that's not the usual process. It makes everything pretty meaningless if that's the case. It's almost like a chance occurrence or something. But so the pure devotees appealing for the will of Krishna that they be delivered. And how they're delivered? By enabling them the opportunity to understand this message of Godhead. People are so dull. But anyway, the devotee is like that because he feels like it's nothing to do with me, it's only your mercy. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person, because we're qualifying here, a sober person doesn't just mean someone who's just come down from, an overdose of tui or something. Maybe classified as a sober person in mundane society, but that's not what it means. It means a person who's not intoxicated with material sense gratification in general. If he repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. There's kind of a lot of things here. Understanding the message, Prabhupada wants to be praying for the mercy that he can be an instrument to help people to understand this message, and we please bestow your mercy on them so they can understand the message. And because the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, if heard orally and repeatedly, one will understand it. Again, it's association. It's association. So Prabhupada putting in many quotes from the Bhagavatam, a very nice section in the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages. The previous verse, this takes on from number 17, but text 16, describes how by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains an affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So that isn't included here, but one should understand that as the preliminary. You can't just jump in there and, let's say, relish the message. But by serving the pure devotees, then one gets Krishna's mercy, and that mercy is that one develops an affinity or attraction for hearing the messages. It may not happen immediately. Things take time, but that's the process. This is a nutshell of the process. Same thing is described in the pastime of Narada Muni, how he transformed. Which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. At the time loving service is established in the heart, the modes of passion and ignorance and lust and desire disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, in his pure goodness, and he becomes happy. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the man rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord gains liberation from material association and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Thus the knots of the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions, karma, is terminated when one sees the self as master. Now, interesting to note that it says here self, and somebody has put a capital S. Of course, ultimately, yes. But in the old translation, it's a small s. I don't know what you've got there. It's referring to the living entity. Master, you could say, in terms of above and beyond, as in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is it? The senses are greater than the sense objects, the mind is still higher or greater, and ultimately the self is above all. He's supposed to be the master of the senses, not the senses are his master. As the self is no longer controlled by the lower modes of nature, or by the modes of nature, not controlled by his senses and the sense objects, etc., the mind. Well, it's both, it can be either one. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. This is the mood of pure devotee. He's asking, how will I make them understand? He wants people to understand. He wants, please Krishna, be merciful to them. But how will it be? I'm not qualified. I'm unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. The same mood was there of Devatacharya when he was begging the Lord to appear in this world. He thought, I am also a sinner, how can I deliver them? He felt like that. Only you please come and deliver them. Therefore I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. The mood of the devotee always taking shelter of Krishna, not aware. Now I'm very qualified, I've learnt this and that. Krishna's his mercy as he takes that pride, edge of pride away. Somehow or another, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. In other words, he's not also demanding anything. You can do what you like with me. If you want to make me a success or failure, that's up to you. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. People may say the same thing, anyone can read it, but it has no effect. But the grace of Krishna, one who's actually surrendered to Krishna, the same message penetrates people's hearts, enters in. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened, and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. You've got to penetrate the heart. The pure devotees presence. Their words can penetrate, they're very powerful words. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittite Koriya Ekya. May my consciousness be purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. They're very powerful words of pure devotee. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. The pure devotee of the Lord is not demanding anything. And you're an instrument, Krishna says to Arjuna, just nimitta matra bhavisavya sachin, just become an instrument. Just act under my direction. Prabhupada then concludes his poem, I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. No knowledge, no devotion, only faith in the holy name. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Insignificant beggar, Prabhupada called himself. So that's the mood of Srila Prabhupada when he arrived the second day in America, or the first full day in America. He just arrived the night before. So this was really the first day in America. And this was his first writing. This is his first impression when he arrived in the Western worlds on his journey and on his mission to his spiritual master. So it's very important human transformation by reading about Prabhupada. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you become transformed by hearing about the glories of great devotees, their pastimes, their teachings and so on. One develops confidence, enthusiasm and satisfaction. So similarly hearing about Prabhupada, you read the Prabhupada Lilamrita, it's transformed many people's lives. Many people. And devotees rekindles their ailing enthusiasm in devotional service sometimes. Another form of association. And just meditating on Prabhupada's mood. The previous poem also is full of, let's say, humility and dependence. And what is real humility? That was written a few days earlier when he was on board the boat in the Atlantic Ocean. We can try to sing it, although my voice is down, we'll give it a go. And whether or not we can accompany with harmonium remains to be seen, but I would request, which you're very expert anyway, waiting until you pick it up. Page, I don't know what page it's on, we'll sing the poem now. You got it? It's a couple of pages before the translation. Guru Kripa Hare Krishna Adame Prati Guru Kripa Hare Krishna I have to go down a little bit. My voice is low and kind of stuck. Hiragyanile eta korore bekati. Hiragyanile eta korore bekati. Achikechu Kajakara. Not too fast. Quite slow. Elumane. Swap books. I have to swap books. This keeps closing. Naike no ani bene Augustane. Rajasthan Kurehama Savare Achana Vasudeva Vakataruche Ahe se pasana Vasudeva Vakataruche Ahe se pasana Tabe jadi Tava kripana Oyo hai tukhi Sakari sambhava hai tumi dekho tukhi Kibame pujale kara Puji siva Kibame pujale kara Puji siva Ika kripa koro pavo Oriri tabasha Oriri tabasha Tomara ichaya sabha Oyo maya Don't come in quite so quick. There's the last A is going long a little bit. Tomorrow, ichaya sabha Oy maya basa Tomorrow, Ichaya nasha maya Toma Ichaya nasha maya Tava icha ore jari Tarera huda Nisyai tabe kata setoma ujire nisyai tabe kata setoma arate kata se sabam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Ketana Shimratam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Ketana Yam Taksto Tabadrani Vedanote Srisatam Yantasto Yabadrani Virani Sarisatam Nashtabhayeshvavaresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Nashtabhayeshvavaresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Uttam shloke bhakti bhavati naistaki Uttam shloke bhakti bhavati naistaki Tadajan tamo bhava Kamolo bhadayasya Chetayam tadavidam Ketam sabbe pasidati sabbe pasidati Evam pasana manaso Bhagavat bhakti yogataha Evam pasana manaso Bhagavat bhakti yogataha Bhagavat tattva vijnanam Mutta sanghasya jayate Bhagavat tattva vijnanam Mutta sanghasya jayate Vidyate vedagante Chivyante sadasamshaya Vidyante vedagante Chivyante sadasamshaya Shiyante chasya karmani Krishnaye Bhaktanishvare Shiyante chasya karmani Krishnaye Bhaktanishvare Paristamo Atitave Haive Nishta Tajastamo Atitave Haive Nishta Iyoya Abadasa Nuchive
Hare
Ashera Putali Gata Nachayo Emate Ashera Putali Gata Nachayo Emate Bhakti Hai Vedanaye Nani Kudaro Bhakti Hai Vedanaye Kudaro Bhakti Vedanta Name Patako Bhakti Vedanta Name Bhakti Vedanta Name Satakuru Bhakti Vedanta Name Satakuru Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama
Jaya
Prabhupada ki jai. Akine Bhagavad Dharma ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank God we got Srila Prabhupada as our Siksha Guru. Yeah. It is his mercy. Prabhupada is the mercy of Krishna. We have no other hope. If we don't take shelter, no matter who you're initiated by, if we don't take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, we'll be lost. Taking shelter of him and study his books if you can read, or have the time to read, follow his instructions. And to the best capacity, dedicate our lives to his service. Become maybe small, but some kind of instrument to try to assist him in spreading this mission of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.